Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All educational videos and tutorials. In today's video I will try to explain how and when to use GML visual block, which is called set instance scale as size. That's a different word, different name for size in game development. So I have deleted the step event from my obj egg by right clicking on it and click delete event, and I have enabled the create event code which we have made so far few steps back by right clicking and enable. So you can right click enable or disable. I have enabled it, and now we have our game few steps back, again not looking bad. We have our player white square, which represents the white chicken in our yard, which can lay eggs when you press the button E, and those eggs, as you can see, are rotated differently. We have created code for that by setting the instance rotation and connecting it to random number generator. So those instances, those eggs on the screen will be rotated differently, randomly, and that's it. That looks good for me, and it works fine, all cool. But if you're working in some kind of studio, game development studio, for example, or anyway indie game, and you have some kind of lead artist or a game designer, or again, if you're making the game yourself, you can say, okay, this looks fun and more interesting this way when those eggs are rotated, but they are also different in real world, in size, in color, and so on. So let's try to change those. Let's try to change the size of those instances. Again, because I want my obj egg instance to be changed, I will be coding in obj egg, not in my obj player or other obj. Not I will create the code here for my obj egg, and again I'm coding my cookie cutter, my object. My object is my cookie cutter, so when I drag and drop it to my scene, it becomes cookie, it becomes instance. That's the difference. The obj is cookie cutter, the instances are cookies. So we want those cookies look different, rotate different. We have created the rotation different, but now let's find the one for size or the scaling, the changing of the size. Let's try to find that one. So find the group of block which says instances, then find this set instance scale. And again, if you're still confused with objects and instances, those GameMaker drag and drop blocks are named very precise and very nice, so you can read what they are doing to your objects and instances, and in this case set instance scales. That's what I want to change. That's what I want to do. I want to change the size, the scale of my instance on the screen. So let's click and drag and drop it on the screen, and where do I want to edit? Again, I want to edit into my step event, create event, not the step event, but I want to edit. Yeah. So I'm trying to behave like in Scratch, but no, I have to do it like this. Okay. I have clicked here accidentally, change this. Let's see what this set instance scale button block is doing. I have few options here, lucky for us. Again, horizontal and vertical. Horizontal means x and y, left and right. Vertical means horizontal means x, left and right. Vertical means y axis, and it is top and bottom. Relative means that you can use this relative to your OBJ, so it can change relatively to the first size. We will show that you can define the size first and then make it add on or subtract from. So if my size is, for example, 1 meter, I want to add 10 more, make it relative to the first 1 meter, make it add on 1 meter, and so on. Let me first try to change this horizontal scale to 2 and vertical to 2 and see what happens. So I have changed from 1 to 2, that means 100%. That will probably change the size of the egg on the screen 2 times. It will be 100% or bigger, yeah, even more probably, but it looks like that. It was again, I have the problem, it's too big and it's always the same size. So I have to do what? I have to make it random. I have to use random number. I can go to random and click and drag it like here, get random number, or even better, I can use this one which I have already made. Click on it, then right click, copy, and go to the bottom, paste, and here it is. But I want it to be defined when I create my egg, bigger or before. I want to say, okay, I want my number to be what? The minimum and maximum, what will be our values. For some of you this can be confusing, but again, just use your mind, just use your just think about it. We were using minimum 0 and 360 for the first one for rotation, because the rotation is defined by circle which has degrees between 0 and 360, and this scale is defined between 0, that means nothing, it won't show up, and as much as you want. 360 would be too much, too big. Even 2, as we can see here, even 2 was too big, 200% bigger. So I will use minimum 0, that means it won't be visible. No, minimum is maybe 1, or maybe I can use even less than 1. We will try that later. And maximum maybe 2. I think we have tried 2 and it is too big, 1.5 maybe. And I will put that value into my target variable instance scale, and I will use that variable here for horizontal and vertical. So again, what have I done here? For a second, forget about rotation, just concentrate on scale, just like I'm making my object instance scaling, so concentrate on that. I want my instance to scale from what? From 1 to, that means the same size as it now, to 1.5, that means 150% bigger, so 1.5 times bigger. So that will be my scale value. That value will be random. I want to change from time to time. That will be done by GameMaker Studio, and when GameMaker Studio picks that value, it will put it into this container which is called variable instance scale, and that value I will use here for horizontal, x, left and right. So I say scale it, stretch it left and right, how much in value of variable instance scale, and that variable instance scale is how big. It is big between 1 and 1.5. Okay, same for the vertical stretch scale my egg instance on the screen by vertical by y-axis, how much in the size of variable instance scale. And how much is variable instance scale? It is 1.5 or 1 between it, I don't know. It will be random as much as GameMaker have picked. It's simple as that. And again, we're using random number just to make it random for our game. Sometimes you won't use it randomly. Yeah, it works. It is not very visible because we have used very similar values, but let me try this. Let me try to use instead of I want my, for example, x to be less than 1. 1 is again 1 for scaling. 1 is 100%. That means GameMaker will use this value here. My image of egg is 64 pixels wide and 64 pixels in height, so use that as 100%. That is too big for me. I will say use it 0.5. That means he will turn this image into half, from 64 to 32 and 32. If I use, instead of 0.5, if I use 0.25, GameMaker will use the quarter. 0.25 is quarter. It will divide this number 64 by 4 and it will be 16. So you can try that also. Maybe it's too small, I don't know. We can try with 0.25, and maximum 1.5 is 1.5 times 64 and so on. So just be aware of that. So the scale which I'm using is applied to this size here, and rotation was applied to this point here, to this sprite, again to this object, to this instance of this object, but the center of rotation was here. This same center is used for scale, but again, just not to confuse you, concentrate on the size here for now. So now X should be much more, yeah, it looks much more interesting now. They are rotated differently, they are scaled differently, and you see how easily our game becomes much more interesting and realistic this way. And you can add lots of features like that, and you can again add all of those features to different types of games or ideas you have. You can, for example, use this random scale and rotation to instantiate the bullets on your screen or your enemies differently, so zombies can be bigger and smaller and so on, or bullets and so on. Relative, as I said, I won't use it again for this example, but it adds or subtracts the values to base value, the one you have defined before. And I think that's it for this video. 15 minutes, not bad, shorter than previous. Yeah, we will continue. A couple of other next videos will be in this same manner, so stay tuned.